Hi, everybody, and welcome to Your Take is Excrement, episode 750. How many fucking episodes of this are we gonna do? How many more, Neo?
I'm alive and you're alive, so might as well keep going.
All right. Well, you know what? I am overjoyed to be here this week. Did you know that? I'm like super fucking stoked about it.
Yeah.
I'm never this excited.
Hell yeah. Well, you do really love this movie. So.
Yeah, and so I guess that let's just get right to it. My name is May.
I'm Neo.
Yeah, at Nick Spears.
The local Catboy.
Yeah, local Catboy. And so the podcast is Your Take is Excrement. We are talking shit about shit is basically the bit.
Yeah.
Just shit about shit. So
your take doesn't have the flu anymore, but it has bronchitis.
So there's still going to be some coughing. I'm super sorry. But today, I'm very excited because we're talking about a movie that very, very few people have actually seen.
Yeah, and I'm one of them. Get fucked.
Yeah, and I made that happen. That was my fault. That was my doing.
You and the Koreans that...
Me and the Koreans that gave me that illegal product. So, today's movie is a movie from 1971 called The Devils, which is kind of amazing and crazy and wild and weird and different and not like anything you've ever seen in your life. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's cool or not because you don't get to see it, loser. Warner Brothers says no.
Yeah, I think the biggest message with this movie is fuck Warner Brothers.
I can't believe it. See, okay, does Disney own Warner's?
I don't think so.
If Disney bought Warner's, would they release or not release The Devils?
Do you think Disney would take the PR hit for releasing The Rape of Christ?
No. No, they wouldn't.
Do you think literally the safest media conglomerate on the planet, which is saying something, would take that?
Did you know that there was a time in American history... This is not... I understand that this is a tangent, and I also understand that this podcast right now is a fucking fever dream. But, hear me. Did you know there was a time when Disney owned Insane Clown Posse?
Wait, really?
Yeah, and they were releasing Insane Clown Posse's music, and they were like, "Ooh, boy, we can't do this." And here's another fun fact. About 5 years ago, or let's call it more like 7, my YouTube channel was owned by Disney.
Wow.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
That's right. Through Maker Studios.
Bow down to Mickey Mouse.
It is no longer owned by Disney, so I can officially say, and this feels really good to say, and I love saying it. You can suck a dick.
Suck a lot of dicks.
A sack.
A whole bag of them.
A duffel bag. Merry Christmas. Duffel bag full of dicks.
One of those like oversized army.
We are not talking about the movie, Neo. So the movie is The Devils, directed by Ken Russell. It is an British film, and it is notably...
You can't say British. That's a slur.
Is British a slur?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know.
It just hurts people's ears. You can't say it.
They'll get mad and they'll kill you.
No, everyone else will.
They'll come colonize our podcast. We're never going to get to here, are we? So we watched this movie about a week ago. I worship the ground that this movie walks on, which is kind of wild to do, I guess, because it is so controversial. But I felt like because of Neo's background, of course, from growing up in Kenya, having experienced the Bible in his life, I figured it would be important to introduce him to one of the most sacrilegious things that anyone has ever made in history.
Right. Well, see, people keep saying that. You know, they say that about Jodorowsky, and they say that about this movie.
Do they say that about Jodorowsky? They say that Jodorowsky is sacrilegious?
Yeah. Have you seen any of his movies? He like...
But
you know the bit in the Holy Mountain where there's the Bible and the worms coming out of it?
Whoa. All right, I hear you, but that's also a visual metaphor. Sacrilege, right. Sure, well, but no decorum, I'll agree. But that's critical. That's critical, right?
See,
But Ken Russell's an edgelord. He did this because he thought it was funny.
Right. Well, no, but
that's the difference.
The point I'm trying to make is everything anyone has ever told me is sacrilegious has only ever been like critical of Christianity, and it has been fair criticisms. So I think the bit with the devils, it's like, you know, people saying, "Oh, this is so sacrilegious." And it's like, no, it's just making a good point. Like,
fuck.
It's like,
well, that's going to be a great take to hear about in about 25 to 30 minutes, probably after an ad break, because it's going to take forever to explain this.
Yeah.
So, Neo, I love you. It's time to begin the ultimate challenge.
Yes.
Of on this day after Christmas, explaining a movie where some nuns rape a statue of Christ.
Well, I mean, can the statue consent? Is it rape if it's an inanimate object?
Well, okay. So I'm going to answer that with a really heady, stupid metaphysical thing, okay? So no, an object cannot have sentience, obviously. Therefore, it cannot consent. However, iconographic things exist in relation to religious figures, and many believe that the religious figures live through those iconographic things.
Right.
So basically what that says is a depiction of Jesus is Jesus. I mean, representationally. Like, there's an iconographic existence that lives within the very image itself.
Yeah.
So, this is a sacrilege because they're taking consent away from the the iconography, right? They're raping the iconography of Christ, which is sacrilege.
Right.
And that is, like, by definition. In my mind, the reason that I classify the devils as sacrilege in a way that the Holy Mountain isn't is because of the frequency with which the Holy Mountain makes actual points. However, Ken Russell, like, is a fucking queen of a man who just makes just willy-nilly sacrilegious choices ad infinitum pretty much regularly, and we'll get there, but I mean, think about the fucking thing with the bye-bye Blackbird, right? Like, where he's shooting the Protestants, and it's like, I understand the point, but why, though?
Listen,
I get it.
As a Protestant, I stand that...
Are you a Protestant?
I guess technically it...
Oh my God.
Well, I'm not a Catholic, I'm not Orthodox.
I'm a Catholic.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Why?
Well,
what's wrong with Catholicism?
We're gonna dive into that.
Look, you have to be a Catholic to enjoy the devils, I think.
I don't.
So, are you gonna convert to Catholicism with me now so we can talk about it?
Yeah, but then
you would let down Allah, who is your true Lord and Savior.
No, I think to actually properly convert to Catholicism, there's like a bunch of things you have to do. You have to go to classes and stuff. And
you do. You have to go to conversion classes. You have to confirmation. It's like a whole thing. And listen, I never got confirmed Catholic.
Then are you Catholic?
No, I guess not. But I was never confirmed for Catholic.
Why are you going to complain that I'm going on tangents and then immediately go down this tangent?
I think it's important context to tell the audience our religious background before we begin talking about the most sacrilegious film in history.
Fair enough.
That said, I was raised Catholic. You were raised Protestant. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I think my dad's an ordained Baptist minister, I believe, or non-denominational. But anyone who knows anything about American Christianity knows that non-denominationals are actually just Baptist light.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So
they like to drink beer. That's their bit, right?
I legitimately...
They're like, we like God and shit, but we also love to drink beer.
Because Baptist has a lot of bad connotations. So I've never met someone who's non-denominational that doesn't just have the same system of beliefs that Baptists do, but just don't want to call themselves like Southern Baptists.
Right. Well, that's fair.
I mean, yeah.
And with that, I think it's a good time to continue or to begin to do something.
Yes.
In
Talk
regards to the fucking movie. So... Neo, I need you, a Protestant, to explain the devils to me so that I can then explain it back to you as a Catholic.
Yeah.
And then we can hash this out, and then eventually one of us will die because that is our destiny.
Yeah. So in the movie, there's like one really important character. His name is Galliard, right?
What the
Gallard.
fuck? Father Grandier?
Grandier, that's it.
Jesus.
He's French, and I don't respect him enough to learn their
Listen,
names.
your dad listens to this podcast, Neo. You have to get these details fucking correct.
All right, yeah. So
Father Grandier.
Father Grandier is the hottest person who has ever existed unto that point.
And that's true.
And was the hottest person ever to exist until I was born.
Oh, fuck you. Oh,
yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah, fuck me. And
how dare you
he's
say that
so
to me.
hot that everyone wants to fuck him. And
including all the nuns.
Every time he goes out into the streets, he causes mass hysteria because God, he's so hot and everyone wants to fuck him so bad. I'm
sorry, I want to hang on this sentence. Whenever he goes outside, he causes mass hysteria because he is so hot.
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Well, yeah, this is just the historical account and the account of the film.
Yes.
So that's what's happening in the city. Outside of that, the Catholics are buddying up with the king, and because they've like formed an unholy political alliance, the Catholics are trying to get rid of these like city states that have any level of autonomy. Because if they can remove their autonomy and make them loyal to the crown, then they're loyal to the church because of the unholy political alliance the church has made with the crown. Father Galliard, what was the name again?
God. Hold on, I gotta do a big cough. There it is. Father Grandier.
Father Grandier.
Jesus.
Father Grandier is the mayor.
The mayor.
The mayor. What? Mayor of the last city that still has its walls up and
Yes.
some level of self autonomy. And so the church is trying to tear the walls to the city down. Father Grandier isn't letting them. So the church as this is happening, a bunch of nuns go into mass hysterics because they want to fuck Father Grandier so goddamn bad, which is relatable. So
What?
Do you not?
Wait. Oh, yes, I do. Sorry.
Yes. So the church starts a witch hunt to find out the cause of the demonic possession in the nuns. And they determine that Father Grandier has filled the nuns with demons because of his attractiveness, and so they burn him at the stake. Ba-doop-doop.
There it is. Movie.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
That's about the size of it.
Whew. There's a few things here. But primarily, it is to be known that this actually happened.
Yes.
And there's a wonderful book written by Aldous Huxley called The Devils of Loudun, which is about kind of the details of this historical account. And the truth of it is much more fucked up than the movie, but also the movie is pretty fucked up. Like the movie gets it pretty right, but there is a little bit more after the movie. Like, so Sister Jeanne is the main, in my opinion, kind of the main antagonist of the movie, and she is the lead nun with the kind of crooked back is her bit. She's a queen, and but I hate her, right?
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about here. Like, oh my God. Like, the first thing is that the story here, while being true, was also considered so sacrilegious that we aren't allowed to watch it. Like, this knowledge is somehow kept from us for whatever reason. Even though this isn't that bizarre. It's just a story about hysteria. But But the bit of it is just that Father Grandier is a very, very hot man. This is true. But this intersects with the way that women were kind of treated in nunneries and sort of that behavior and like that subsect of Catholicism. So like you have a situation where if women don't get dowries, they're sent to the nunnery.
Right.
And it is of the human woman impulse to want to fuck occasionally. This is a normal human thing to want. And so these very normal human beings, these nuns, are forced to live a life where they can't really fuck anything without whipping themselves. Silly, which sucks. So they don't like that, and they all go to the window every time Father Grandier comes by so they can kind of twiddle their twat a little bit, and they're like, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
A hot boy who could fuck me, which is fair to want. Anyway, the problem becomes where there's like what I'm going to refer to as a femcel. I'm going to call this the femcel. Okay, the femcel is just like the incel, but woman has a natural desire to want to be boned, but can't. So the feminine urge, right, to accuse the man that you want to fuck of possessing you with demons that make you masturbate a lot, in order to kill him, I guess.
Yeah.
But here's the really fucky thing, and this is why it's on the podcast. I think a lot of people would, if you have listened to our podcast before, you know that the big primary thing is like spirituality and psychology, and like politics is very much central to what we talk about here. And so what's the thing here? Because it's like it's not just a nunsploitation movie,
right?
It's a movie about sovereignty, like independent sovereignty, and also lasting reigning peace, like the ability for there to be peace between Protestants and Catholics, something that up until that point was not really possible.
No,
and it was
fucking
happening.
Luther. God damn it.
Right. Fucking Luther. Tell me about it. Your boy, my enemy. Catholics, Protestants. Okay, listen, I don't hate Martin Luther. That was a total joke.
I hate his anti-Semitism.
Ooh. Okay, now I do hate him.
Yeah.
Join the Catholics. We hate Martin Luther over here.
Well,
come on, Neo. Please.
The Protestants still have a lot of anti-Semitism to catch up to the Catholics.
It's true.
Zwingli is my favorite Reformationist, if you had to know.
Zwingli. Okay, that's great news.
Wait, thank you. He took over Geneva.
Okay, got it. So Lou Dunn in France is kind of in this unique position where the king of France is a nihilist. He's a nihilist. Like that's the whole thing. He's a nihilist. He loves death. He loves
shooting
Protestants because he likes to shoot people.
Yeah.
And if it's Protestants, then cool. He's bored. He's gay. He likes to get fucked and to fuck back.
And is an absolute queen.
And And because of this, Father Richelieu, or I'm sorry, Cardinal Richelieu. Cardinal Richelieu.
I'm sure he was a father at some point.
Cardinal Richelieu convinces him to let them kind of go into France and just purge that country of Protestantism and sovereignty.
Yes.
Right. So this was going on, but there was an agreement between Lou Dunn and the King of France that country's sovereignty would never be fucked with.
Yeah.
But then that guy dies. Father Grandier's in power, and there just so happens to be a teensy little scandal with nuns that has just enough of a little oomph to get them to go in there and kill all the Protestants and take away their sovereignty.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do really with the hotness of Father Grandier. And it has nothing to do really with demonic possession. Mm-hmm. It also has nothing to do with religion.
Yeah, well, a lot of the bastard things that Catholics have done have been just like political actions disguised with religious fervor.
Right.
Like the Crusades were 100% entirely political, whereas like the Pope was like, man, we really want an ally to like Europe's eastern border, so we really want the Byzantine Empire to be a thing. So let's get all of our knights over to the Byzantines so that the Turks don't wipe them out.
Right.
And the Crusades were born.
I mean, and we also all know, at least I hope we all know at this point, that pretty much all war is kind of a grift.
Yeah.
So there's that. But anyway, so there's this giant grift kind of going on in France with Cardinal Richelieu and the King of France, and Loudun maintains their sovereignty for as long as possible until, because of a nun thinking that she is demonically possessed. I'm sorry, she doesn't actually think she's demonically possessed. She is just horny, and she knows that. And she even says that. She's like, hello, sorry, I'm lying. I'm just horny. This is just horniness. This has nothing to do with anything. And they're like, no, I think it's demonic possession. And she's like, no, I assure you, this is not demonic possession. This is horniness.
I just want to get dick down.
And they're like, we better investigate by fucking up your body with different tools. And she's like, oh no, I don't want that to happen. And then they do it anyway. And it really fucks her up. And then they're like, we're going to keep doing it to you until you tell us who has demonically possessed you. And she's like, I'm just horny. And then they're like, give us a name. Names, bitch. We want names. And she's like, Father Grandier. And then there's like this bwomp, 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 like kind of sound. And then politics happen. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't actually matter. Like none of that is like entirely swayed because they just really wanted to take the sovereignty away from this country. And this is the most bizarre, but also accurate way that I think world leaders have a tendency to take away sovereignty, right? It's in this like really stupid, manipulative, very easy to disbelieve way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of...
You gotta wag the dog. You create a scandal so you can act behind the scenes of the scandal.
Yeah. And so it's just like a big fucking nightmare. It's a nightmare. And then Father Grandier is being burned alive for not... Okay. So let's talk about him. Can we talk about Father Grandier real quick? Because he's not the best dude.
No. That doesn't deserve to get burned alive at the stake, but...
So he was in a position where he was in a kind of a position of privilege within his, like, the state of Loudun because he was, a father in the priesthood, but he also kind of had political leanings and he was kind of second in state. And then the first in state died, he took over. And then he was thrust all this responsibility to maintain this state. And he actually owned it really well. Yeah. Like, he fucked around his first, like, big half of his political career, and it bit him in the ass. But he was a dick to everybody. He was a dick to Cardinal Richelieu, famously. Over some like parade or something. It was like really stupid. Anyway, so he like had this coming,
right?
But he had this coming because he was just kind of an asshole for the majority of his life. He had sex with everybody, in Loudun, and people would come to him with confession, and they'd be like, "Father Grandier, I'd like to confess that I've been horny," and he's like, "With who, child?" And they're like, "Why? You." And he's like, interesting. Why don't you come to my office and we can pray about it? And by pray, I mean swap jism. And
well, you can pray while getting dick down.
I mean, I've done it. Lord knows. So, God, this podcast is a fucking nightmare. I actually really like it. So he kind of abused his power a lot. But then he met a woman, and he's like, "Oh shit, I want to marry that woman, real bad." This is a problem because he is in the priesthood. I don't believe he is allowed to do that. And he says, but what if I did it anyway?
What are they going to do? Stop me?
What if I did it anyway? So he fucking marries her.
Listen, see, he's kind of an idiot because if he would have, Henry VIII it or seventh, just make
Henry VIII.
Make it a religion to marry someone.
Oh yeah, just make a new religion, right? It would have been fine. Just make a different version of Protestantism, and we're all good. But no. In front of God and everyone, he very publicly marries this woman after having sex and impregnating much of the city, pissing off everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone at the same time. Like, they all unanimously hated Father Grandier for this. So he was thinking, like, oh, this will humble me. This will take me away from my sinning past. I will become a married man, and I will give my life to God. And then God goes, what a coincidence. I would like to take it now. And so a bunch of shit happens. Everybody comes to town from like the church, and they think about killing the nuns. There's so many things they try to do, but eventually they come up with a new method, which is just like, let's get all the nuns together in a big room and they just fuck all day long, every day, forever. And this is a great idea. Mm-hmm. It really works.
Especially for the guards.
Yeah. And so that's where we get into kind of the censorship of the movie, because out of everything that I've just now told you, a man being burned alive, some crazy politics shit, some fucking like really rapey bad shit that happens to women. No. Nope. That's not the problem with this movie. The problem is that some nuns fuck a statue of Jesus at a point. Mm-hmm. What is that?
This is an ad read.
Is it time?
It is time.
Right now?
Right.
In the middle of my...
In the middle of your rant? Yeah, well, see, the last time the halfway point hit when you're in the middle of a rant, I didn't want to interrupt you. So, the ad read is like 40 minutes in. So
we really need to get it in there a little earlier. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. By earlier, I mean right now. So first of all, thank you to all of our patrons. We really appreciate all of you. Our sponsor is Machine Age Productions and their RPG #iHunt. It's economic horror about hunting monsters in the gig economy where eviction is scarier than Dracula. It's Buffy meets Uber. So we went into a lot of detail about this last week. I bought it with my own money after they sponsored us. Probably could have asked for a copy of the PDF, but no. I was so excited I bought it, and I've been reading through it, and I like it. I enjoy it. I want to play it at some point when I'm not sick and busy at the same time. So if you like cyberpunk stuff, if you like wealth disparity stuff, go check it out. It's fun.
And on a personal note, I want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/excrement. Y'all are fantastic. Thank you so much for supporting the show. It's been kind of wild. We've been doing very well over there. Lots of people, which is good because we are running low on batteries again. We should get a wall outlet or some shit. That would be smart. Or something. I mean, surely we don't record into a computer. It's kind of funny. We record into a DAT, like a little
little
audio recorder. And we just do it all from the audio recorder and then move it over because it's just so comfy. We sit at our table, and by table I mean cubicle in a massive room, filled with other podcasters who are doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's like a 1940s newsroom in here. It's clickety clack.
Yeah, really, really loud.
Yeah,
as you can hear. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for supporting us over at Patreon. I have no idea what I was just talking about, but that's fine. We are going to move back into the podcast now. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're fucking back.
You know what we're back to?
What?
The rape of Christ.
Yeah, there we go. We're back, baby.
Time to fuck a crucifix.
See, since the last time we were on this podcast, which was but a moment ago, I have acquired a purple slush.
Hell yeah.
And it's going to be the bomb.
Straight from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Beautiful. The Rape of Christ is actually, I guess, one of the more censored pieces of film media that exists. Mm-hmm. In that it was destroyed and never found again. And by kidding, I'm entirely kidding because a few years ago, and I'm gonna call it more than 10 now. I'm gonna call it probably like almost 2 decades ago now. God damn. Mark Kermode found The Rape of Christ just on a dirty tape. He found he found a dirty tape of it. And he was like, oh, I got it on a dirty tape.
I wonder if he's like, is this pornography? Puts it in, oh no, it's the devil's.
He was like, wait. And he put his dick away and he was like, wait, I think this is from a movie I like.
Puts his like paper towels down.
I hate it.
So don't none kink shame the man.
I'm not. Look, I almost said the bad thing. I almost said, listen, I too have this kink, but I don't have this kink, okay? I just have a fascination with it. I've watched a lot of nun pornography. It's fine.
I've done a lot of research into nun pornography.
You know about my job. You know what I do for a living. Come on. I research nun pornography for a living. Obviously. Oh, boy. So, The Rape of Christ is a beautiful scene where a bunch of women...
Yeah, it is.
A bunch of women... Okay, well, first off, the way that this is just the most theatrical, beautiful moment. And I can't even... I feel like there had to have been exploitation in the making of this. Like, this can't be... Like, okay, this feels very Weinstein-y to me. I'm sorry, but it does. And I read a book about it called Hell on Earth, and in it, they talk about how Ken Russell is kind of a bastard, and was kind of a bastard on the set of this movie to the women that were in the pit,
right?
Which is unsurprising. But anyway, so...
Listen, whenever you have a fuck pit, there's probably some exploitation going on.
I mean, you can't do an ethical fuck pit, I feel. Or wait, yes, you can.
I mean, I think it's possible, but it's what Hollywood scumbag is going to be like. Let's make a fuck pit.
Hollywood doesn't fuck with an ethical fuck pit. Oh boy. Anyway, so it was an unethical fuck pit. Pretty much is my point, and he was a little bit of a bastard there on that set, but. He achieved this scene, which is a bunch of women taking off their clothes. Nuns. I'm sorry. Nuns.
Nuns are women.
I know they are, but they are also married to God, dear. They are married to God.
And oh boy, do they show it.
Oh boy, do they fuck him. And they take off their clothes. They rip down a crucified Christ. And then like 16 nuns take turns fucking the shit out of it. While priests... run away to jerk off. And there's even a nun who's jerking off a candle, which doesn't work because candles can't come.
Brief side tangent. Are nuns married to Christ, God, the Holy Spirit, or just the Trinity?
I think that that's all the same thing. Neo.
So they're married to the concept of the Trinity.
It's a monotheistic religion, Neo. You're in this religion. You should know.
Well,
this.
I know, but
you went to Bible college.
Not
school?
college, but Bible high school.
Bible high school. I went to Bible high school.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh God.
I'm so sorry. If I would have went to Bible high school. No, that just oh boy. Oh boy. All right. Speaking of Bible high school, a big nun orgy happens, and that's great. And this is notably not okay.
I didn't get invited to any of my high school fuck pits.
We're never gonna get through this.
No.
And so this fuck pit happens because the King of France comes over to see the fuck pit. Like, he's like, I heard that you have a fancy fuck pit and I'd like to see it. And when he goes there, he's like, I also have a relic of God, like a Christ relic. This will help you.
Wasn't it like the
get
blood
rid.
of Christ?
Yeah, he's like, this will help you get rid of the demons in these nuns. So he's like, and the nun's like, oh, I'm better now. And then he opens the box and there's nothing in it because the King of France is a nihilist, and he starts laughing. And then they all get completely out of control hysterically because they realize that there is no God, and then they all fuck each other in a moment of hysterical sacrilege and nihilism. And this is why this scene in this movie is notably not allowed for your retinas to see. And beyond that, there is no fucking release of this movie, and there probably won't be because of that. Ever.
Ever?
Ever.
Ever, ever?
Well, so the rumor is somebody over at Warner Brothers is a real Catholic, bastard, and I can relate. And he doesn't want this movie released because he thinks that it's very sacrilegious. And maybe if he died, we'd get it. But he's alive. So we don't get to watch it, even though I have seen it. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself, buddy. Anyway, I have watched this movie. Notably, this movie was made for a lot of money in the 70s at a very specific time when this would have landed in a very important way, almost Kubrick, I would say, way, like huge historical film. But it didn't. It didn't do that. It was kind of pulled away from its guiding light because somebody really, really, really didn't like the fact that there was a scene where the nuns fucked Jesus in it.
In a giant fuck pit.
In a giant fuck pit. And so because of that, we kind of got this stolen from us culturally. And is that a shame?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad we agree.
100%.
We agree. See, I also don't like art censorship. I'd like to have the art and eat it too.
Yeah.
So like I have a big problem with with them taking this from me. This is my toy.
Yeah. Don't take things from Maid. She gets stabby.
Yeah. So basically, I'm gonna fuck you up, Warner Brothers. Where's my movie? This is a threat. All right. So, what do we do about this? What do we do about this? Because this one, so a man gets tortured, and the whole ending of the movie is him getting tortured and killed for political gain. And he is like, we haven't even really talked about Father Grandier all that much. And Father Grandier is played by Oliver Reed, who is my favorite actor because he is dangerously attractive.
He is his mustache.
Yes.
It's so good.
And listen, I'm not usually a facial hair kind of girl. Like, I don't really like facial hair much, but that mustache, there's something about it. There's something about it.
It's demonic.
It's fanciful.
It's a possession mustache.
It gives me fanciful leanings in my in my pantaloons, you know? And but Oliver Reed is a bastard of a man. He's dead. But when he was alive, he was a bastard of a man. He was kind of a sailor for a lot of his life. So he liked to get in bar fights. And so he just got in bar fights like all the fucking time, just constantly getting in bar fights. So he would just be like, yep, I'm doing a movie and I'm going to go get in a bar fight. And so he'd just go get drunk, get fucked up, and then go back to set the next day, throw a little makeup on there, and he'd be like, yes, blessed be, you know, and he's just right back to work.
Yeah.
And that's just his MO. Like, that's just how Oliver Reed is. We're talking about the Mega Chad. And he is like in the, well, if he was, okay, I was going to say he's like the Antifa super soldier, but he's not, because he's definitely probably right wing, and he's also dead. And death really does make babies of us all when we're chads, I guess.
It put hampers on the whole Antifa super soldier thing.
Yeah, you can't really fuck the dead, unfortunately. So he's out.
Or it was just big psyop, and then that one dude that everyone took videos of, who's the like 6'5" Uber Chad.
Oh yeah.
It was actually just this motherfucker.
Just Oliver Reed.
Yeah.
It's possible. So he notably, just got in a lot of bar fights. But the other thing is he quit this movie like 4 times. So he quit in the middle. Like he was on set and they'd bring him the script and he had a thing where he could memorize lines like perfectly without any problem. If he looked at it exactly one time right before he went to bed the night before. That was his rule. He had that rule. So he would get his script, and if there was any like sides, anything changed, he'd get that day of, look at it at his hotel that night, no matter what, no matter how drunk he was, no matter if he got in a bar fight, no matter what the fuck happened to him, he would go back to his hotel and he would look at his sides for the next day. He would memorize them. He would go there and he would perform them perfectly. And multiple times throughout the making of this, Ken Russell intentionally knew that this was his method. So he would change Latin words last minute to fuck his whole day up. And a couple of times he was okay with it. And not okay with it, he wanted to fist fight him and then didn't. But they kept them away from each other long enough for him to be like, okay, I'll be back in the movie and I'll do the Latin. But there's one moment in the movie in specific where like they filmed Father Grandier in profile and he's got his eyes closed. But he doesn't actually. Secretly, he's got one eye closed and he's in profile because the script is in front of him and he is literally reading the Latin on the page because Ken Russell changed it last minute to fuck with him. He quit, got in a fight, fucked up this side of his face, came back to set and went, all right, I'll do it. But I can't memorize it. So he had to do it like that. This movie is fucking insane, my man. This movie is fucking insane.
It's such a powerful dick move to like just intentionally fuck over your main actor.
Yeah,
just to
intentionally. Just to get him to quit, just to piss him off for no reason. And it's like, it's not like his performance is any better, you know? And so my other thing about Oliver Reed that I really, really love is he said that he met some actor, I can't remember who at this very moment, but I want to say it was Peter Cushing. And he was like, how do I manifest the perfect performance? And I'm going to say it was Peter Cushing, but it probably was somebody else, said, oh, well, the trick is nobody ever acts like they're the emotion they are. They always pretend they're a different emotion when they're that emotion. So if they're in pain, they'll say, no, I am not in pain. I am fine. And so the whole movie of the Devils, he's just doing that. Like in every scene, he's like, oh, well, obviously I feel this way, but I'm performing it a different way.
Right.
And it's a very complex performance. It ends up being this very complex and interesting performance, all the way down to him being burned alive.
Right.
And him screaming at the top of his lungs like, hi, hello, I'm being burned alive, but this is for political gain. Like, I'm being burned for political gain, guys. Like, I know you're having a party. I know I impregnated the town. I know I married that one person and you didn't like that at all. I know that there's a plague. I know there's all these things, but understand that this is entirely for political gain. And you're going to get your sovereignty fucked up. The walls are going down right now, and you can't do anything about it. Oh, no, I'm going to die. And then he burns to death.
Yeah.
So, with that, I guess that there's not an awful lot more to talk about narratively. But it's so... I don't know. You said something when the movie was over. The first time that you were like, that movie was very libertarian.
Yeah.
And I was like, interesting take, Neo. So basically the reason that we did this podcast is also that we could get to the point right now where I go, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well,
please explain.
I mean, I think we watched this movie and we both have very different takeaways from it.
Yes.
And different things that we focus on in this movie. So you're very much about the political aspects of it and like the political story about it, and I'm much more interested in the religious takes that the movie has. Just because of our differences in upbringing. And
well, I mean, I'm Catholic. I don't actually have any beliefs.
And so I hadn't really processed the movie at all when I said that. So I'm not. The reason I said that was because his final speech was a lot of like the don't let them take your personal freedoms. You must defend your personal freedoms and rights. And it just kind of sounded like something you'd hear a libertarian like angry type on Reddit.
Some guy's manifesto.
Yeah. So I don't I'm not trying to argue that this movie is like this libertarian idealist film, because I don't think it is. That was just kind of like my
I mean, but
initial
you're not
response
wrong.
to some of it. Yeah. It's very much like fuck the government.
Yeah, sovereignty.
I don't want to get taxed, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, but and the fucked up thing, I guess, about it is it's kind of one of those stories in history where you can't really tell it without pissing everybody off at the same time.
Yeah.
So, like, we understand that any take we have about this is potentially dangerous, and that's okay with us. But the big takeaways, I think, are that, religion is married to the state in a dangerous way.
Yes.
And literally the title sequence, it says the devils over them, literally the king and Cardinal Richelieu shaking hands.
Right.
Like, it's like, ba-da-ba. They're aristocrats.
Yeah.
And so, and that's how it starts.
Yeah.
So I think the movie is mostly focused on that. And it comes from a Catholic perspective because Ken Russell, ironically, is a Catholic.
Right.
Like, just a practicing Catholic. That's his whole bit. Or he's dead. But when he was alive, everyone's dead. I think Vanessa Redgrave is still with us. She was Sister Jeanne. But I think everybody else is, especially Ken. But Ken had such a weird perspective on all of this because, like, he, as a practicing Catholic and cared about it, he wanted to make a movie that was critical of his faith.
Right.
But also, he made a movie where he enjoyed pissing off his own faith.
Right.
Like, just pissing on his own faith.
Yeah.
And there's a genuine amount of this movie that's in there just for that purpose. for that express purpose. And he even said some of that. Like, he's gone on record and been like, yeah, I was being a little shit. You know, and so much of the movie is him being a little shit. And a matter of fact, like, critics at the time were kind of like baffled by this movie,
Right.
And I mean, why not? And they were like, specifically the Bye Bye Blackbird bit where the king is like shooting Protestants that are dressed
Yeah.
as blackbirds, and he's like, bye bye blackbird. Anyway, that is both the inspiration for Maximilian Pegasus, probably, and that's like a reference no one's gonna get, but that's okay. And it's a little on the nose. It's a little obvious.
Right.
Does that make it stupid?
No. Well, and so there's something this movie does, or there's a point this movie illustrates where, like, a king, when the king wants to do something, he'll be very obvious about it, you know? So when the king of France, you know, wants to go be a conniving little shit ass, he shows up and he's like, I'm a conniving little shit ass because that's who I am and that's what I want to do.
I'm the king, you can't stop me.
I'm the
Fuck
king,
you.
fuck you. Right, but when the Catholics want to do something, there's this, like, 4D chess game they play where there's plans and plans and plans and plans. And
right.
and so whereas the king shows up and it's like, I'm gonna do this because I want to, and that's the only reason I need. You know, the Catholics will obscure their intentions between like four levels of plans. And so, you know, it's just this interesting, you know, like, thing that the movie talks about where in this time period historically, it's kind of, you know, the death of mercantilism, where it's a lot of these monarchies like reestablishing complete control of their countries.
Right.
So it's setting up, like, historically, it's setting up all these, like, you know, strongmen leaders like Napoleon and Frederick of Prussia, who I love, but like it's setting up the return of these, like, monarchs who have more or less complete control of their country.
Right.
And so an important part of that is the removal of these really strong mercantile states where you know, you have all these merchants who have enough political power to tell the king to suck their dicks whenever the king wants anything from them.
Right.
And how, you know, how the French overcame this was through religion. So whereas the king would say, I want to do this because I want to do this, fuck you. You know, the church is going to do it and exploit the religious fervor of people.
Right.
In order to get those, like, same goals accomplished, they're just a lot more, like, conniving and plans and plans and plans and plans about it.
Right. Well, and this is also just the spiciest time in Catholic history because it's like there's Protestant war, which is spicy, land war with Protestants,
Yeah.
and Anabaptists, like, fucking all over the country and in Germany and just fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And on top of that,
It was during the 70 Years' War, right?
Inquisition as well. There was some of that.
Yeah.
So it's like a mixture between, like, we're gonna fuck up Protestants and heretics, non-believers, whatever, and then there's, like, the encroaching reach of Protestantism. It's changing things, and they
Right.
can't stop that. And also the Bible is translated. It's, you know, it's being translated around that time.
Yeah.
So
I wonder where the first French translation was.
it
I'm
would
sorry,
have been
that-
earlier
that's
than
a
this.
tangent.
It would have been earlier than this because it was at the dawn of Protestantism.
Well,
But
yeah.
so the Bible was being translated into German, and so, like, there was a kind of there's a spicy, we're going to take religion back from the powers that be, and we get to have it. And that was met with force from
Yeah.
Catholics. And then because there's, like, a slow wave of change, the Catholics ultimately lost because everybody got the beliefs anyway, and they just killed a lot of people for no reason, just trying to, you know, stop the Ides of Change. But the Ides of Change came, and they kind of accepted it and decided to, quote unquote, reform the church to try and maintain some sort of relationship of the church and people.
Right.
Because now that people could just read the Bible, it was like, well, why do I need you?
Yeah.
And so they were like, they legitimately had to get in a little room and all ask each other, well, why do they need us?
Right.
And so this era is just like the spiciest era
Right.
for Catholics.
Well, and the reason there was a lot of land wars wasn't because, and so it all kind of started with the German princes,
right.
turning to Protestantism and
Yeah.
and fighting these wars, and they weren't fighting these religious wars because they actually believed in Protestantism and were like huge fanboys of Luther, but they were literally like, wait, so I can be Christian and not have to pay tithe to the Catholics? Like they're like, whoa,
Right.
wait, I can. There's an alternative to.
There's a free version of religion.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why at least the German Protestant Catholic War started.
It was more of a class thing.
It was much more of a we want freedom from the Catholic Church thing.
Right. Sovereignty.
Yeah, and much less of a hey, these people have a different belief than us, fuck them.
Right. Well, and so I think that's why I love The Devils, this movie in specific, is because it's saying that sovereignty there, that religious sovereignty, your ability to interpret your own fucking religion for free,
Yeah.
that thing is precious.
Yeah.
And that is true. I do believe that.
Yes.
Like wholeheartedly. And so I think more than anything, like there's a political bent to it, but also he's protecting, like he wants to protect their belief, their
Right.
core, why
Yeah.
they're doing it. And ultimately, like when we analyze his, like Father Grandier's acts, like him having fucked everybody, he's just like, oh, well, I can do what I want because I interpret the Bible for myself. And in my version of interpreting the Bible, I'm allowed to do this.
Yeah.
And so, like, the Catholic state hates that.
Right.
The Catholics hate this guy. All Catholics hate this guy because he can fuck whoever he wants.
Right.
You know, he's just got this, like, way of looking at it,
Right.
where he gets to make it. And so it's the same way with him with the marriage thing. He's like, well, I think God would be fine with it.
Right.
And so he just does it. And it's like that level of sovereignty, but also that level of sovereignty is what is punished
Right.
more than anything.
Well-
And how they punish it is with dogma. You know, it's like some weird, ridiculous, like demonic thing to rile up hysteria,
Right.
instead of just addressing the fact that actually what we don't like is the fact that you have sovereignty over your faith.
Right. And I think that's one of the big things that the movie ends with, trying to say is like have sovereignty over your faith and like take control of it.
Yeah.
And that's something like personally, I'm not trying to come at anybody, but one of the things that really frustrates me is when people don't have their like faith stuff figured out. Where it's I don't care what you believe, like whatever you want to believe, I support you and I want to help you build that up. But just have some meat on the bones with it, you know? Like
Why do you believe that shit,
like
dude?
you know
what I mean?
Why to the belief where you know and if you don't believe anything and you've thought about it and you have this like you know this existential acceptance of your own beliefs, that's great. I love that. Like hell yeah. But I don't know, it's just and this goes for people of my own faith too, where it's like there's so many Christians I know that like haven't processed
Their own religion.
their own religion and belief system at all. They're only doing it because, you know, their parents did it, or it's like, oh, I just, you know, grew up going to church. Where it's
Right.
like, fucking think about your shit, dumbass. Like fucking like process it. I don't know. And that's just something that's really like,
Well, it's meaningful.
like a big me
you know,
thing. Me thing.
it's only meant to be personally meaningful is the thing,
Yeah.
you know? Like, it's the only good religion is the personally meaningful one.
Yeah.
So why not have that? Why have it in an authoritarian kind of way? And so basically the movie is like talking about how in hysterics we will trade our rationale and our sovereignty and our independence of thought for dogma, you know, for authority.
yeah. And also like everyone who was supporting him made it like a festival of his death, and it was all just a fucking party.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
them
pretty
watching
much.
watching him burn at the stake, you know. And it's like don't trade your your like own motivation and your own like autonomy to have fun watching someone get dicked over.
Right. And so, it's like this, it's not celebrating his death, it's celebrating their own.
Yeah, their own demise.
Right. And because people kind of, I have a tendency to just like want to enjoy that.
Yeah.
They just want to die. They just hate themselves for some reason and don't want to be happy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been all right. I mean, it has been about an hour.
Yeah.
I guess we can end it. But God, I feel like there's still more.
Yeah,
Probably. We didn't even talk about the plague.
I didn't really catch that there was a plague watching the movie, to be honest.
You didn't catch the the plague?
No.
Okay.
I did,
all right.
though. But
that's great.
I did. I don't know. I do think there's a lot more to talk about, but I do think we're running up at the clock. So, May.
What?
Good pile or bad pile?
What the fuck? Good pile. This is sacred to me.
Yeah.
And which is funny. That's ironic. No, this is like sacred nun porn for me.
The only thing sacred in this house is sacrilege.
Exactly. But only for the sake of sovereignty. And I think that is actually my reasoning, right? Ken Russell made a movie where he was sacrilegious to himself, to his own faith, to his own, for humbleness.
Yeah.
And maybe that's bragging, but it's like making fun of his own faith and criticizing his own faith and talking about his own faith's shitty history and how he has to own that in order to enjoy it and go forward.
Ultimately, I think that watching this movie, I thought it, no matter how much of a shit ass Ken Russell was trying to be, I think the movie did engage with religion in good faith. Like they're no matter how much Ken Russell's trying to be a like just a cunt to everybody, there's this absolute nugget of truth and honesty and criticism of his own belief system in the movie. And I to me what heresy is and like what sacrilege is bad faith arguments to yourself about religion.
Right.
And so part of me, I refuse to see anything that's a good faith self-examination as heresy. Like I think the movie is just this.
It's a good faith self-reflection.
Yes, and I refuse to see good faith self-reflections as sacrilege. I think what's more sacrilegious is fucking Mel Gibson's.
Oh God, yeah.
Mel Gibson shit. Exploitation of this faith. Like even if he's following the account of Christ's life and the Passion, like it's a shitty, exploitive, non-critical look at it. And I think not critically wrestling with your faith is more sacrilegious than doing so.
I mean, I fucking agree with you, my dude.
Yeah,
my Neo dude.
It's the in the Bible. There's a story of Jacob who wrestles with God until God like has to break his hip, and then because of that, it's like that's like the good thing. It's like, yes, wrestle with God, like wrestle with your faith.
Yeah, but also acknowledge that God will break your hip.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Well, it's because God got tired of wrestling with him, and he's like, all right, stop. And Jacob's like, no, fuck you.
No, I'm not done.
I'm not done with you.
Alrighty. Well, so I love it. You love it. I think maybe one day people will get to watch it. Maybe.
Hopefully.
It's, there's a lot of good nun porn out there, but this one's definitely one of my favorites to jerk off to. So I would highly recommend it for everybody at home. And also, if you love our podcast, if you like it, if it's something that you're into, consider giving us $2 on patreon.com/excrement. That is our home base for dollars. And you know who needs those dollars? My Catboy here. My Catboy needs dollars and pets.
Yeah,
because he's not getting paid nearly enough to edit this bullshit. I coughed like half this podcast, A. And B, there was like a whole tangent in here that you're not going to hear at home where we there was a noise, and we spent like 10 whole minutes trying to find the fucking source of the noise.
Yeah.
So Neo has got his work cut out for him, and he deserves a little bit of compensation.
Also, if you enjoy the podcast, please do go check out our sponsor at #IHuntTheRPG.
Yes. And with that, I think we can call that a successful podcast. You know, nobody talks about the Devil's, like, what it's about. Like, people talk about the band, right? They talk about, you know, it's kind of like Freaks. Like, Freaks is a movie where there's like a whole 30 minutes of it that was just like literally burned, like destroyed. Right. And so it's the same here, where people talk about, oh yeah, they burned it, it's destroyed, and it's gone. You know, it's all prints of it. There's like one print of it, and it's terrible.
Man, John H. Film really should have made film not burnable.
John H. Film.
John H.
John
Film.
W. Film.
Yeah.
John H. W. Film. Okay, got it. Anyway, so I'm really glad that somebody, us, sat down and actually engaged with this movie's ideas instead of just talking about how it's been banned by Warner Brothers for a really long time.
Yeah, fuck you, Warner Brothers.
That said, fuck you, Warner Brothers, and 3, 2, 1, fuck you, right?
Oh, yeah,
3, 2, 1, fuck you, Warner Brothers, and we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Bye.